Let's start with the news of the day. NBA free agency yesterday was a free agency bonanza. And during the show, I asked what the Lakers are doing as they became an older version of the oldest team in the NBA. Hey, you think we were old last year? Wait till you see what we throw out there this year. You're like, wow, really? Kurt Rambis is sitting there going like, how are my knees? AC Green still plays down the street at Equinox. He's still in shape. I'm surprised he didn't get the call. All kidding aside, they did find some balance with Malik Monk, who's only 23 years old. They will have the THT back, right? Talen Horton-Tucker's only 20 years old. He's the youngest player drafted in the NBA going back a couple years ago. He got an extension yesterday. They got Kendrick Nunn, who's pretty young, comes over. He's bounced around a little bit, but he's a walking bucket from Miami, 2 years in the NBA. After playing at two different schools in college basketball. Like, all right, so now we're starting to get there's nothing. The Lakers are a curious nothing in the middle, no sort of middle-class team, right? You either have these old guys that are around doing it for a long time that put their teeth in and go play basketball, or these super young guys. And the fear is, and this is a logical fear, what derailed the Lakers this season? Injuries, right? Anthony Davis was hurt much of the second half of the season. LeBron James was hurt late in the season with a high ankle sprain, and then Anthony Davis got hurt against the Phoenix Suns, and they fell apart and lost the series in 6 games after taking what felt like a commanding 2-1 lead. And the most likely way to not have injuries ravage your team is to get younger pieces, right? We talked about this yesterday. Older cars break down more. They just do. Even the best-made cars, once they get past 100,000 miles, they're going to break down on you. And older players are much the same. Even LeBron James, who has a history, he had 16 years, really, or 15 years before L.A. of never getting hurt. He's gotten hurt every year he's been a Laker. So with that in mind, it's curious. I heard what Colin said earlier today where he thinks the media world is overreacting. I would tend to agree. If you remember last year when the Lakers turned over their roster after winning an NBA championship, people said, just hand them the trophy. Because the concern for me, I wasn't a hand them the trophy guy, was how does it all fit together, right? They lost Rondo. Okay, Rondo was over the hill. He had a couple of magical games in the bubble. But then they added Dennis Schroeder, who was younger but couldn't get along with the tribal leaders, if you will. If the Lakers are their own kind of tribe. He felt like the outsider, and they extinguished his flame in the survivor mode. So I look now at the Lakers, and I think, okay, let's not go crazy about free agents. It's not like NFL free agents where 33% work. It's probably more of a 50-50 hit rate. There is a reasonable thought where you have the younger players and Russell Westbrook who can carry you when LeBron takes a couple games off, when AD takes a couple games off. And as much as I love Buddy Hield and his shooting, it's reasonable to say, hey, when you don't have one of those two guys, Buddy Hield doesn't win you a game, Russell Westbrook can win you a game. But the makeup of the team has shifted dramatically. 2 years ago when they won the championship, they were the best defensive team in basketball. That was who they were. Now, I don't know how they guard people. I mean, you can use Kent Bazemore to be kind of your defensive perimeter stopper. Russell Westbrook has never been as good defensively as he was regarded defensively. Now you factor in he's in his 30s, and he's had 4 knee surgeries. He's not a great defender. LeBron can't move the way he used to. Anthony Davis doesn't really want to play the 5, but will. And remember, it's not like there's not good centers in the West, like Jokic, for example, who's in Denver. But you do start to see the plan kind of coming together. And much like so many of these discussions, I have myself in the middle. I think the Lakers got better on paper, but I'm still cautiously pessimistic over the idea that they're going to be able to keep it all together through 82 games and then through a long and arduous playoffs. The one thing, though, that I do wish people would say, do wish they would dial back is you go back 4 years ago and LeBron only came to L.A. to make movies. He made a movie. But if you ask anybody, these moves were made with one thought in mind. Let's win a championship. Do I think this is the best way, the best path, older players that are veterans that want to win? No, I think this feels like Karl Malone and Gary Payton and what derailed that season. Everybody says that what derailed that season was that Kobe and Shaq couldn't get together. Okay? Everybody said it's Kobe and Shaq, and they couldn't get along. Well, the truth is that they had injuries. They fell apart. Rick Fox got hurt. Karl Malone got hurt. Gary Payton got hurt, and they were never really able to throw bodies out there against the Detroit Pistons, who were younger, hungrier, sharper, and better, and wipe the floor with them in a 5-game series. That's what happened. So my pessimism isn't over the lack of a plan. This is a plan. It does feel like LeBron had a good portion of influence in that plan. But when your vision of somebody, and remember, I pointed out, this team now has 4 members of the U.S. Olympic team. In 2012, go back and look at that Olympic team, and half the players are retired. Kobe Bryant, God rest his soul, has passed away in a tragic accident, and the other 2 remaining players still in the NBA are washed up. And only these 4 guys somehow are impervious to Father Time? It is a young man's game. And yes, the playoffs, older players can come in and make a play or two. But there's just a limitation to what the human body is capable of, especially through 82 games and the playoffs.